Hi, I'm Dr. Lois, Sostergard, an executive coach and business growth strategist. If you're looking to grow your business, increase your profitability, scale, increase your market share, then welcome to this channel. This is the place for you. We have all these things that people are talking about, and then we have Gallup's recent research that came out and say that about 24% of people are actually happy at work. That's not very good. If you have people quietly quitting, they're not happy, they're not engaged. 33% about are engaged at work. And people are saying, I don't really want to go back to the office for a lot of reasons. And we're really not talking about them in an honest way. And until we can talk about things in an honest way, we can't deal with it. People are talking about or are concerned about with going back to work is they're afraid of what they say. Will things be misinterpreted? What's okay to talk about changes almost by the day. And so there's that sense of I'm walking on eggshells all the time. That's not a fun feeling. Right? And it's a moving target. That's the problem. We have no agreement. It changes constantly. And when it's changing all the time, you then can't respond. You can't be proactive. And so people feel like, you know what, I'm going to stay home where it's comfortable and work from there. I can get as much work done. And many times I can get more work done because I'm not dealing with all of this crazy stuff that's going on around. I think the other is people really, I think, want to make a contribution, but they've been burned out. They've been disillusioned. And I think disillusion comes from a variety of places. One is having their position be dispensable. You know, if you don't meet your quarterly numbers, it's now become part of the toolbox for leaders. You just simply eliminate positions. And it works. It gets you to where you need to be. However, it also sends a message to employees that they're dispensable.
Everyone here is dispensable except me.
And so if you're dispensable, why are you investing all this energy, missing your children's school events or other things that are important in your life to make a company successful when they don't really care about you? On the other hand, you see leaders in organizations, CEOs of big corporations, C-suite people, they're under the same pressure from their boards of directors. You know, are they going to meet their numbers? Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? Are they controlling the organization as tightly as they need in order to achieve the numbers? And companies have literally walked out executives who they don't think meet those criteria. And so both at the employer level, the C-suite level, and at the employee level, we're undergoing, I think, some fundamental upheaval in terms of who are we and what do we want to become as a workplace. Well, and it creates a huge amount of competition, right? Short-term thinking is a competitive model. It's what we created in the industrial age because we needed to in order to grow and to create the industries. We're now moving into a knowledge-based society, and knowledge-based requires more long-term thinking. The problem is our organizations have not kept pace with the change that's occurring. And so we're moving into this knowledge base, but we're operating with the rules of the competitive base, and the two are colliding.
The feelings in your brain cells, they bubble and collide.
And they're colliding at a very, very difficult rate. And the collision force is quite severe. I think it's not just America that's facing this problem. I mean, I heard it when I was in Israel. I heard it from leaders in other countries where they're seeing the same issues, where tremendous push-pull that comes from how do we organize, manage labor, and what do I do as an employee? And so I think right now what we're seeing is there's a labor shortage. The employees feel like they can demand things. I can demand that you treat me in a certain way, or if you don't and I don't like it, I'm going to stay at home and work. And so we have a lot of that kind of languaging going on, and we're kind of talking in parallels right now. There isn't a good intersection because there's fear of being honest, I think, but you have that on the employees level on one hand. On the other hand, you also see a beginning new movement of, you know what, I've got to have employees I'll hire where I can get employees and I'll go offshore. And you see that, well, we were talking about Gary Vaynerchuk last week, and his putting up a sign saying global employees. He's looking for global employees. And I think we're going to potentially see a movement that way. What organizations do and the role they play, not only in their organizations, but to control social agendas. So we've seen a great deal of activism in terms of an environment, and a lot of that has had positive impact. We also are seeing it in terms of what is politically correct. That has been taken into the organizations, right? But as we have that discussion, now organizations are beginning to shape that narrative. So if there's a need to control that narrative more, there could be at some point, now, not yet, but at some point, there could be an effort among some of the businesses to say, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to punish you in a sense. I'm going to offshore and leave whole communities without employment. That is scary. It's potentially possible unless we start having these discussions. You know, it's so interesting. You're right. It's speeding up. And what people are beginning to also say is, I want to be connected. Well, what does work do? It connects you. But when you're working in a hybrid way, you're connected through the internet. And thinking about that this week as I was jogging, and I thought, I have a lot of connecting I do online, and I love it. But I also have grown to miss those times of just being with a colleague over a cup of coffee or something, some group coming together just to talk. We used to do that more, but now it's been replaced by the internet, and there's something that we're losing. So as we get diverse, part of what happens, and this is part of my concern, is if we start to offshore primarily and look elsewhere, we don't have the community networks anymore well established either to find new solutions. We're too scattered.
Most of my friends are scattered all over the country now.
We haven't developed those. And I think the good news is we do have social networks that are still intact and strong. I think we have church networks, for example. We have social networks like Rotary, Chamber of Commerce, places like that where people come together and actually do problem solving. I think as things emerge, people will go back to those organizations if those organizations are willing to have honest conversations. And so I think it really starts with being willing to be honest, share what you're thinking and feeling from the perspective of not I'm making you wrong and I'm right. We have a problem. How are we going to together fix it? We have different opinions, and those differing opinions can make us stronger if we let them. But it's a choice. We're going to have to be willing to come to that place and create safety nets for people where yes, you can talk and you won't be ridiculed. You won't be all over the internet. Or if you are, people will come to your defense. You got to build some of these back in, because without it, fear is what's operational. So we have to deal with fear. Think of it going way back to when the country was established. And it's true of many communities. As communities were being established, people came together. But here in the US, you had the pioneers. They came together to build each other's houses, raise barns, to help each other with harvest, because you need many hands and they go from one farm to another, helping one another. So I think part of what's going to be necessary really is for us as communities to collaborate, different organizations within communities to collaborate, to work together on solutions, but certainly businesses, because businesses can put strength back into that community. But it's going to come through collaboration. It's not going to come through competing. Competing is from the Industrial Revolution. We have now moved into a new age, and we have to adopt those new tools. It's knowing and thinking through what's your purpose in life. Work provides us purpose. You take work away from people and you suddenly lose your reason for being. What do I mean by that? Part of our reason for being is being able to provide for our families, being able to take care of ourselves. It's being able to take care of that next generation. It's being able to educate them. It's all those things go into work. And so part of, I think, what is going to be very essential is for us to come back to the place of saying, I really appreciate the fact that I have a job. May not like it,
may not be perfect, but I have a job. And that gives me a future, and my children and the next generation potentially a future. So that's one that I would say. And the other is start having conversations within your own family groups, communities. Talk about what's working, what's not working, instead of just having positions about this is what I believe. And, often it comes down to generational differences. Sometimes it is that, but maybe those generational differences are there for a good reason, and it's good to listen to them. With the millennials and the Gen Zs, they have specific needs and wants. We need to hear it. Baby boomers plus, they have seen much of life. They have seen things that have worked and don't work. We need to have that come together.
Visit our website at www.startwithcollaboration.com. We're eager to help you with the challenges that you face today. There are many, and although there's challenges, there are opportunities. It's knowing how to look for them.